Hello everyone, welcome back to Pabbly. In this video, we're going to learn how to automatically create and schedule vlogs in Shopify using Google Gemini. So I am an owner of a business and I manage the sales of my business using Shopify. I want to create customers' engagement by posting vlogs according to my business on my Shopify account. And I want to generate the content of these vlogs using Google Gemini. As I've created a record of the titles of my vlogs in my Google Sheets with the date of the publishing of the specific title as I've created the record of them in my spreadsheet. So here I'm not going to do all of this manually. I'm going to create an automation using Pabbly Connect. In this automation, what is going to happen? Firstly, with the help of Google Sheets, we're going to get the data of the date of publishing as well as the title of the vlog that we want to post on our Shopify account. And as we have the title of the vlog, the content is going to be automatically generated using Gemini. And as the content is going to be generated, we want to post that content on our Shopify account as a vlog on the specific date of publishing that we have entered in our Google Sheets. For that, what we are going to do is we're going to simply create an automation between all of these applications with the help of Pabbly Connect. So if you want to learn this amazing automation, then let me take you all to my screen. In this video, we're going to learn how to automatically create and schedule blogs in Shopify using Google Gemini. So I run an online fashion store and I manage all my sales with the help of Shopify. And I use Google Sheets to plan my vlogs content. I enter the vlog titles and their scheduled posting dates in Google Sheets. I want that as I've posted all the titles of the blogs in my Google Sheets with the date that those blogs should be published on, automatically first the content should be generated for those titles using Google Gemini, and as the titles content are going to be generated, they should be posted on the date that I've entered in my Google Sheets in my Shopify account. So by integrating Google Gemini and Shopify, each time a new blog title is added in my Google Sheets, automatically with the help of Google Gemini, it is going to generate blog content based on the specific keywords and trends. Then it schedules these vlogs on the particular dates for posting them on your Shopify account. So we are going to create this amazing automation between Google Sheets, Google Gemini and Shopify with the help of Pabbly Connect. So on the screen, you can see the website of Pabbly Connect, that is pabbly.com/connect. After browsing this website, we need to sign in to our Pabbly Connect account. But if you're a new user, you can sign up for free and get 100 free tasks every month. So as I'm an existing user, I'm going to sign in to my Pabbly Connect account. After signing in, you can see the All Pabbly Apps window in front of you, in which you can see the 5 applications of Pabbly, from which we are going to select Pabbly Connect by clicking on Access Now. Then Pabbly Connect's dashboard is going to appear in front of you. In order to start an automation process in Pabbly Connect, we need to create a workflow. For that, click on this top right corner button right over here that says Create Workflow. A dialog box is then going to appear which is asking for a workflow name. So I'm going to give a name to my workflow as Automatically Create and Schedule Blogs in Shopify using Google Gemini. So this is the name that I want to give to my workflow, okay? After that, it is asking for us to select a folder. So on the left side of my screen, you can see I've created multiple folders in my Pabbly Connect account, from which I'm going to select a specific folder in which I want to save this workflow in. For that, click on this arrow. So these are the folders that I've created in my Pabbly Connect account, from which I'm going to select Shopify Automations as the folder I want to save this workflow in. After giving a name to our workflow and selecting the folder, let's click on Create in order to create a workflow. A workflow is created in the name of Automatically Create and Schedule Blogs in Shopify using Google Gemini, and there are 2 windows in front of you. One over here says Trigger, other says Action. Trigger and Action are the 2 most important steps of our automation process because our process depends on these 2 concepts. Over here, Trigger says when this happens and Action says do this. That means our action is response towards our trigger. In an automation process, there can be only one trigger step but multiple action steps. Firstly, we're going to set up our trigger step. For that, click on this arrow. And for the trigger application, what we are going to do is we are going to select it as Schedule by Pabbly. we are selecting our trigger application as scheduled by Pabbly and not Google Sheets, as I want that I have added the data of my titles of the vlogs in my Google Sheets, and with the titles I've also added the date of the publishing. So these are the date of the publishing of these blogs titles right over here, and I want that every time with the title of the blog on this date the blog should be published. Okay, and to check that the blog title that we have entered should be published on the current date or not, that is why we are going to run this workflow on daily basis. We are going to run this workflow daily. Okay, that is why for the trigger application I've selected as scheduled by Pabbly, which is going to help us to run the workflow that we are creating every day to check whether the blog should be published on that current date or not. Okay, so I've selected my trigger application as scheduled by Pabbly, and I'm going to select my trigger event as schedule workflow, as we are going to schedule this workflow on daily basis. It asks how often do you want to run your workflow. We want to run our workflow every day, so what we are going to do is we are going to select it as every day right over here. Okay, so this workflow that we are creating is going to run on daily basis, that is every day. Okay, for the time of the workflow that is going to run, I'm going to select it as 12 p.m. okay, so that every day on 12 p.m. this workflow is going to run. So I'm going to select the time as 12 p.m. okay. As I've done that, what we are going to do is I'm going to click on the save button. As we have clicked on save, it says how often do we want to run the workflow as every day, for the time as 6:30 in UTC time zone format and in Asia Kolkata time zone format as 12 p.m. okay, so as we set up our trigger step as scheduled by Pabbly, so now this workflow that we are going to be creating is going to run every day to check whether on that current date any blog title should be published on our Shopify account or not. Okay, so after setting up our trigger step, now what we want is we want to get the current date so that this workflow is going to run according to the current date. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our action step, and as we want the data of our current date, we're going to select our action application as date/time formatter by Pabbly. With the help of this amazing feature by Pabbly Connect, you can set up the date or the time format according to your requirement. For the action event, I'm going to select it as current date, as we want the data of the current date, the today's date. Okay, and then I'm going to click on connect. As I'm going to do that, it is asking for the basic format of the date response that we want. So I've entered the response of the dates over here in the format of dd/mm/yyyy. So what we are going to do is for the basic format, I'm going to select the same format that is right over here. That is dd/mm/yyyy. So I'm going to select this basic format, and then I'm going to click on save and send test request. As we're going to do that, over here in the result, we have received the current date as 05/07/2024. So this is the current date that has been captured in our response. So why we have selected the current date right over here? So that as this workflow is going to run every day, and this workflow is then going to have the current date, and we are going to have the current date over here, it is going to check whether this current date is present in our spreadsheet or not, because according to these dates, these blogs are going to be published on my Shopify account. So that is why it is important for us to have the data of our current date, and that is why I've taken this action application as date/time formatter by Pabbly and action event as current date to have the current date in this workflow. Okay, now we have the current date, we are going to check whether the same date is added in this spreadsheet or not, so that a blog can be published on our Shopify account. So what we are going to do is we're going to add another action step in this workflow, and for the action application, as we have entered the data of our blog titles in Google Sheets, so I'm going to select my action application as Google Sheets. For the action event, we are going to search for lookup spreadsheet rows v2, because now we are going to look up to the value of our current date in this spreadsheet right over here. Okay, and then we are going to click on connect to connect Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect. A new window is going to appear, on which click on add new connection, but if you want, you can select the existing connection. After that, click on sign in with Google. As we are going to click on sign in with Google, a new window is then going to appear, which is asking for a permission. I'm going to click on allow. As this is a safe process and my data is perfectly safe with Pabbly Connect, so I'm going to click on allow right over here. As we have done that, you can see we have successfully authorized Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect. After authorizing, firstly it is asking for us to select a spreadsheet. So I've created a spreadsheet in the name of Shopify blogs titles, and I want that with the help of the vlog title and the date of publishing, the blog should be first generated using Google Generative AI, that is Google Gemini, and then it should be published on our Shopify account according to the dates mentioned in our spreadsheet. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to select our spreadsheet over here as Shopify blogs titles. Okay, as we have done that, next it is asking for us to select a sheet. So I've created a single sheet in my spreadsheet in the name of sheet 1. So for the sheet over here, I'm going to select it as sheet 1. Next it is asking for the lookup value, the value that we need to look up to in our spreadsheet. So for the lookup value, as we are looking for the current date in the spreadsheet right over here, so what we are going to do is for the lookup value, we are going to map the data of the current date that we have received in our previous step. Mapping means inserting data from the previous step. So we are going to insert the data from the previous step, and how it works is as soon as you click on this field, it says you can see these were the previous step of this workflow, and as soon as you go to click on this arrow, you can see this was the same response that was captured in our previous step. This is the result of the current date. As for the lookup value, we need the current date. I'm going to select the result of this current date right over here. As I've selected the data is mapped. And as I've mapped the data has now become dynamic. That means whenever a new response is going to be captured in our previous step, automatically the data right over here is going to be updated. So as the current date is going to be updated every single day that this workflow is going to run on, automatically the lookup value, that is the current date, is going to be updated over here in the place of this mapped data. So as we are looking up for the value of our current date, I map the date of the current date. Next, it is asking for the lookup columns. So over here for the lookup column, we are going to look up for the column that is B, because in this column we have entered the dates on which we want to publish the vlogs on. So this is the column that we want to look up to. So for the lookup column over here, I'm going to write it as column B. Okay. Next, it is asking for the end column of the data. For the end column of the data, we are going to select it as column B, because this is the column on which the last data is going to be added. So for the end column data over here, I'm going to write it as column B as well. Next, it is asking for lookup as date. I don't require this, so I'm going to select it as no. It is asking for use sheet headers as keys in response. I'm going to select it as yes. And for the sort rows, I'm going to select it as top. After filling all the details over here, you can see it says simple response. I don't require the simple response, so I'm going to turn off this bracket. Okay, and then I'm going to click on save and send test request button. As I've done that, you can see we have received the response, and in the result that we have received the response in an array format. You can see this is the response for the lookup value that we have entered, that is 0507-2024, and over here in my spreadsheet we have entered two titles for this date, that title number 1, that is right over here, and the title number 2, that is Ultimate Guide for Wardrobe Essentials for Every Season, that is right over here. So these are the two titles for the date 0507-2024. So in the response, you can see we have received two titles, that is the Ultimate Guide of Sustainable Fashion Choices. The date is 0507-2024, and the second title as Ultimate Guide for Wardrobe Essentials to Every Season. So this is the second title that we have received. Now, as we are going to work on one title at a time, so what we are going to do is firstly we need to make this response right over here without the array format. We need to remove this array format from here. So for that, we are going to add another action step in this workflow, and for the action application we are going to select it as iterator by Pabbly. Okay, and for the action event we are going to select it as process arrays, because we want to remove the array from the response in our previous step. We want the response one by one, that is why we're selecting our action application as iterator by Pabbly, and then we are going to click on connect. After click on connect over here, you can see it says save and send test request. We are going to click on this button. As we are going to do that, you can see over here the array is removed from our previous response. As we want to work on one title at a time, you can see over here for the row index 2, we have received our first title, that was the Ultimate Guide of Sustainable Fashion Choices. You can see this is the first title that we want to work on. That is why I've set up this iterator by Pabbly so that we can receive first title over here. As over here for the date of 05/07/2024, we have two different titles, but we can work on one title at a time. That is why we have selected this iterator by Pabbly to have one title at one time, and then we are going to work on that one title, okay? So as we have that title right over here, what we are going to do is we are going to generate a content on this title that we have received in this response right over here. And to generate the content, we are going to be using Google Gemini. So for that, we're going to add another action step. And for the action application, we are going to select it as Google Generative AI, that is Google Gemini, as we want to now generate the content. For the action event, I'm going to select it as Generate Content, and then I'm going to click on Connect. As we're going to click on Connect, a new window is going to appear, on which click on Add New Connection. After clicking on Add New Connection, you can see it is asking for the API key. With the help of this API key, we are going to connect Google Gemini, that is Google Generative AI, with Pabbly Connect. To have the access of the API key, click on this hyperlink Google AI Studio right over here. As we are going to click on the hyperlink, you will be turned towards this page, and over here in the page it says Generate API Key. We are going to click on it. As we are going to do that, over here it says Create API Key. We are going to click on this button. For the project, I am going to select a project from here, and then I'm going to click on Create API Key in existing project. You can see an API key is generated. I'm going to copy this key from here and paste it right over here, and then I'm going to click on Save. As I've done that, you can see Google Generative AI is now successfully connected to Pabbly Connect, and Google Generative AI is Google Gemini. After selecting the action application and the event, you can see it is asking for the text, the prompt for which we want to generate the content for. For the prompt over here, I'm going to write it as, so this is the prompt right over here. It says, I run an online fashion store and use Google Sheets to plan my blog content. I post these blogs on my Shopify account for customers' engagement. Write a blog with HTML tag on title. For the title right over here, I'm going to map the date of the title that we have received in our previous step right over. This is a title for which we want to generate the blog content for. It says, so that I can post this blog on my Shopify account. Okay, so this is the prompt that I want to generate the content for. Next, it is asking for the models. So for the models over here, I'm going to select it as model/Gemini Pro. Okay, and for the methods over here, we're going to select it as Generate Content, as we want to generate the content for the prompt that we have given right over here. And then we are going to click on Save and Send Test Request button. And as you can see that right over here, we have received the response of the blog. We're going to see this content. The content is generated for the ultimate guide of sustainable fashion choices. This was the same title that we have entered in our Google Sheets. And as we're going to scroll down, you can see the content is generated right over here for the title that we have entered in our Google Sheets with the help of Google Gemini. So as now the title is successfully generated using Google Gemini, we want to post this title as a blog on our Shopify account. So what we are going to do is we're going to add another action step in this workflow. And for the action application, I'm going to select it as Shopify. And for the action event, we're going to select it as Create Blog Entry, as now we want to post this blog on our Shopify account. And then I'm going to click on Connect to connect Shopify with Pabbly Connect. A new window is going to appear on which you have to click on Add New Connection. As soon as you're going to click on Add New Connection, you will be forwarded towards this page. Over here, it is asking for the admin API access token as well as the subdomain of our account. For the admin API access token, we have to follow the steps given here below. Okay, so firstly we have to open our Shopify account. As you can see that this is my Shopify account right over. We have to log into our account. Okay, and over here in the Shopify account, from the left side of our panel, you can see over here it says apps. We're going to click on it. As we're going to select apps, over here it says app and sales channel settings. We're going to click on this button. As we're going to select this option under apps and sales channels, you can see it says develop apps. We're going to click on this. As we are going to click on it, over here it says create an app. We're going to create an app right over here. For the name of the app over here, I'm going to select it as Fashion Blogs. This is the name of the app that I want to give, and then I'm going to click on create app. As you can see that the app is now successfully created. Now we have to give some permissions to this app. Over here it says configure admin API scopes. We're going to click on it. As we're going to click on it, you can see over here it is asking for the access that we want to give. I want to give an access to the blog right over here. So I'm going to select search over here for the blogs. As we're going to do that, I'm going to give the access to the blog right away, that is read content and the write content. And then I'm going to click on the save button. As I'm going to click on save button, it says configuration saved. After that, I'm going to install this app. I'm going to click on this install button. As you can see, it says app is now been installed. And after installing over here, it says admin API access token. And this is the token that Pabbly Connect is asking for. But remember, you can reveal this token just once. So as we are just going to have the access of this token once, you have to save this token somewhere safe, okay? After that, I'm going to click on reveal token once and I'm going to copy this token from here and I'm going to paste this token right away in my Pabbly Connect account. Next, it is asking for the subdomain of our account. So over here, this is my subdomain of my account that is given. So I'm going to copy this domain from here and I'm going to paste the domain right over here and then I'm going to click on save. As I've done that, you can see now Shopify is successfully connected with Pabbly Connect. After connecting Shopify with Pabbly Connect, firstly it is asking for the blog ID. So I have two blog IDs in my Shopify account, that is fashion and lifestyle and news is right over here. So I want to post the blog that I'm going to be generating using Google Generative AI in the blog ID that is fashion and lifestyle. So I'm going to select the blog ID right over here as fashion and lifestyle. You can select your own blog ID according to your requirement, okay? Next, it is asking for the title of our blog that we are going to be posting on our Shopify account. For the title, I'm going to map the data of the title that we have received in our iterator by Pabbly step. So I'm going to map this title right over here, okay? Next, over here it is asking for the author name. For the author name, what you can do is you can create another field in your Google Sheets like author name and add the author according to these titles right over here according to your requirement, and then you're going to have the access of the author name right over here as well. But for the author name over here, I'm going to write it as demo user. I'm going to write the author name over here as demo user. Okay, and this is a static data, but if you want different authors right over here, you can add another field in the spreadsheet right over here. Okay, next over here it is asking for the content. For the content, I'm going to map the data of the content that has been generated using Google Generative AI. So I've mapped the data of the content. Okay, next it is asking for the image URL. If you want to add an image to this content that you have generated using Google Generative AI as well, and then what you can do is for the image URL, you can create another field in your spreadsheet right over here as image URL, and you can enter the image URL for these titles right over here, and you can map the data of the image URL right over here. As I don't require the field, I'm going to skip the part. It is asking for all the details. I'm not going to select it as I don't require them. Next, it is asking for is published. That means this content right over here, the blog that we have entered right over here, do we want to publish this blog on our Shopify account or not? I'm not going to publish the blog as I want to first recheck the blog, the content that is generated using Google Gemini, and then I want to publish it myself after reviewing the blog. So I'm going to select over here as false, and then I'm going to click on save and send test request button. As I've done that, you can see right over here, we have received the response, and the response that we have received is a positive response. So now I'm going to open a Shopify account and I'm going to check whether a blog in the name of the ultimate guide to sustainable fashion choices has been published or not. For that, I'm going to open a Shopify account. I'm going to refresh this page. As I've refreshed the page, you can see a blog in the name of the ultimate guide of sustainable fashion choices has been created. And as you can see right over here, this blog is now been successfully created in our Shopify account. I'm going to preview this blog. And you can see that this is the blog that is right over here. That is the ultimate guide of sustainable fashion choices. And this is the content that we have generated using Google Generative AI. That is Google Gemini. So this means that we successfully created an automation between Google Sheets, Google Generative AI and Shopify with the help of Pabbly Connect. So now to sum up till now what we have done, I am an owner of an online fashion store and I manage all my sales using Shopify. So now to create customers engagement, I want to post vlogs on my Shopify account regularly and I want to schedule my blogs. To generate all of my blogs, I'm using Google Generative AI. So I've created this amazing automation in which what is going to happen that this automation is going to be run every day, and according to the date of publishing that I've entered in my Google Sheets with the title of the blog that I want to post on my Shopify account, automatically with the help of that Google Generative AI is going to generate the content according to the blog title. And as the content is going to be generated using Google Generative AI, the blog is going to be then published on my Shopify account. For that, I've created this amazing automation between Google Sheets, Google Generative AI, that is Google Gemini, and Shopify with the help of Pabbly Connect. So if you like this video, please do subscribe to our channel, hit on the like button, comment on below if you have any questions or doubts, and please share this video. Not just with these applications, you can create automation with the help of Pabbly Connect between multiple applications. If you have any doubts, you can send us email on support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can ask your queries on forum.pabbly.com. If you have any queries regarding the pricing of Pabbly Connect, then you can check out this link. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel, hit on the like button, comment down below if you have any questions and doubts, and please share this video, and thank you for watching.